Likutei Moharan, Torah, Chaf Zayin. Can you pass me the two top Sfarmim from over there? Thank you. Apologize. We hold on Sifav. Just again, a little synopsis as we explained that a person is zeicha to hadraspanim, to when a person is zeicha to learn and clarify, to mevad the Torah, to interpret the Torah with the 13 midos, the Torah rules that govern the way of interpreting the Torah, which themselves are ishtalshalos of the hadraspanim, elyonim, this spiritual bechina of 13 tikkun dikna, which is the kelim with which the rachamim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bestowed in this world. He's zeicha that his voice gets, the voice of his singing gets purified, and with this he's zeicha to shalom. And once a person is zeicha to shalom, he can bring the entire world to avodas Hashem. He's also zeicha that when he has this quality in his voice, that just by hearing his voice, HaKadosh Baruch Hu saves him from whatever nation is troubling him. Now the Rebbe is going to explain how he is zeicha to this hadraspanim. And he says, "Hadraspanim anal seifvav, yefshar lavoy ela al dei tikkun habris." The only way that you can come to a point that, to this hadraspanim is the eon of tikkun habris. V'vchinas hod v'hodor lefanav. The pasuk says, "Ois, hod v'hodor lefanav," that a splendor and in I don't know what's the difference between hod and hodor. Splendor and glory before him. Ois v'chedva b'mkoimai, strength and rejoicing at his place. That's what the pasuk says. So the Rebbe says that this pasuk is not just a repetition of David HaMelech, just heaping a praise upon praise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but actually David HaMelech is telling you there's a process at work over here. Hod v'hodor lefanov, when does a person zeicha that his face will radiate? Hodor, he says, when when he has acquired oiz v'chedva. Oiz, we know, is the b'chinas bris. It's called boyaz. Boyaz in Rus, this is why is the name is boyaz. Boyaz came to says that boy oz, that he has oz, he has koyach in him. The koyach of a man is his fertility. This is the oz. So Boaz, we know he was in his 90s. And Rus was a very young woman. And she insisted on him, being kiviyachol miyabim her, being goyal her, because he was the closest relative. So she came to him, and actually his wife died just before. His wife just died before, and he was an old man. And Lemaisa, he married her, and she was impregnated, and she gave birth to Ovid, who gave birth to Yishai, and who gave birth to David HaMelech. Now, he was such an old man that he actually died the night after the wedding. The next day he passed away. But that did not preclude him from actually being able to produce a progeny, to produce a child. It says, Boaz. Boaz means strength is in him. The strength was retained in him. It's called Boaz. Boaz is because you need, but the reason why he was actually called Boaz, there are a lot of people, that have the koyach hagavra, that have, the power to progenate, but they're not called Boaz, because besides the fact that Boaz had the capability, Boaz had the strength to hold himself from his taiva when it was not b'makom mitzvah. They said that Rus came over to where he was, when he was learning Torah, when he was asleep. And she told him, you're a goyal, and I'm a pnuya, and there's a makom mitzvah. And they said, this is veichirad ha'ish, that he got scared, veilafet. So some said, that she hugged him, veilafet. But Rashi says over there on the spot, veilafet, he says that he became as hard as a lefet. Lefet is this big vegetable that cows eat. Very hard, whatever it is that. In other words, his yetzer, his taiva was burning. This yetzer told him, it's fine. She's a pnuya, she's tahira, she's fine. It's makom mitzvah, whatever it is. So he says, Chai Hashem shechvi ad haboker. He swore against his yetzer, you will lie down until the morning, without me doing any maisa. And she says, "B'dvarim ata patreni." So the Medrash says, "What? You just, you're just sending me home." He said no, and he gave her the se'irim, and then went through the whole process of ala geula, ala tmura, and he went to the Beis Din with the goyal, and he said, this goyal comes before me, and the goyal said he doesn't want to, and then he acquired the schus to be goyal, Rus, and then he married her. So the Boaz, the strength is in him, is not just that this ripe old age of 92, that he had the koyach to actually produce a son, but he had the koyach to withhold from satisfying this taiva. Supposedly everything's okay, the road is clear, but it wasn't 100%. So Boaz comes to tell you that this is the koyach to overcome the taiva sniyuf. That's why the bris is called oiz, which means strength and resoluteness. That's the real oiz. That's the real koyach. Reb Nachman Zgalinsky Zecher Tzayil Gvocha told me that oiz v'hodo levusho v'tischat Likutei Moharan. This is what we say in Eshes Chayil. That oiz, when a person passes away from this world, the avenging angels, the klipos, tear off his mitzvahs from him, his levushin. The mitzvahs are levushin. They try to tear off the levushin from him. So the thing that makes the levushin strong is shmir sabris, is oiz. It says, but if all he brings about is just oiz, it's fine. They can't tear it off him. It's like being, your denim, strong cloth. They can't tear it off. But nevertheless, it's like burlap. It's like a sackcloth. Ve'en lavo l'sha'ar hamelech belvush sak. It says in the Megillah, right? You can't come to the gate of the king, wearing, a denim coverall, right? I mean, it's like you have to wear, splendid clothes. This he gets really matera. splendid, the harder you get when you learn Torah. This is the 13 meters Torah Nidreshes Lahem. So when a person has ois v'harder levusha, in other words, he has both the ois, the shmir sabris, and the harder and limud Torah. V'tischak liyom achron. The last day is there's nothing. There's nothing. It's nothing. There's nothing to worry about. Ois v'harder levusha v'tischak liyom achron. So he says that when you're zoicha to harder, she'ois zechedva b'mkoimoi, yabris nikra boyaz. This is the happiness of the queen, this happiness of the Shechina, which is the Malchus, because the Shechina gets the Shefa through the Yesod, and the Sfiras Yesod is the bris. So that's why the bris is called Chedva, because this is the thing that rejoices the queen. You know, when she gets the Shefa from the Malach. And this is also alluded to in the pasuk that Am Yisrael said in Shir Sayam, when they said, "Ozi v'zimras yom," my strength and the singing of Yud Kei, v'hil Yeshua, and Hashem came to deliver me. Right? So Rashi says over there that the strength and the revenge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was a deliverance for us. So he says, Ozi, you know, my strength, ze b'chinas bris. We said the bris is Oz, right? So when Am Yisrael came before Yam Suf, they came to b'chinas bris, as we'll see later on in this Torah. B'meila, they came to Hadraspanim. They got Hadraspanim, and that resulted the zimras, which means their voice was purified the way it's supposed to be. And immediately Vayil Yeshua, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought about the Yeshua, brought about the deliverance. That Hashem just heard the voice when they were before the sea. The Mitzrim were before them, and he delivered them by splitting the sea. Chazal said, when Am Yisrael came up from the sea, they wanted to shir. What the Gemara says over here, he brings in the Gemara, he says that when they came out of the sea, they put their hands to say shir. What do you mean? Not neyam. They gave their eyes. So they said it's the singing of a babe on the lap of his mother when he is feeding from her breast. They saw the Shechina. So what does the baby see? You know, when a baby is in the lap of his mother, you know, by his mother's bosom, it lifts his eyes, it lifts his head, you know, in order to feed. Then and so they said that Nosna Neil Moshiris is the babies that were breastfeeding, that usually, you know, nothing will take them away from that. They saw the Shechina, they let go of their mothers while in the mid-feeding, and they said Shira Zekeli Vanveil. They said Zekeli Vanveil. Shenemar mepi oili v'yonkim yisadet ha'oiz. From the mouth of babes and suckling babies, you know, you have fountained oiz, which is, you know, the in of tikkun abris. The Meir says, how do you know that even the fetuses in the bellies of the mother were saying Shira? Shenisas b'makhelois baruchu, you know, with choirs, you know, bless and bim shabech Elokim, Hashem mimkor Israel, from the source of Israel. The makor is the womb. So even within the womb, they were mishabech. So it says, when they came, so Nosneim Lamal Shira, what it means to say, because it is on the Yam that the bris was misgala. מסגר הבחינס בריס, כמו as Chazal said, Ayam Ra'av Ayanois, the sea saw, and it ran away. That the sea ran away. What did he see? He saw the oiron, he saw the coffin of Yosef HaTzadik. Then because of the schus of Yosef HaTzadik that ran away from Eshes Potiphar, he was zoichet to Shmiras Habris at the point that Yosef HaTzadik becomes an adjective. You know, he is the one who epitomizes the union of tzidkus, as Yosef HaTzadik. Al Shem the Bris, Manikra Tzadik, somebody who is Shomer Bris. So the sea, observed and skedaddled and ran away. What did he see? He saw the coffin, the sarcophagus of Yosef HaTzadik, and it ran away. What is it? It ran away from Shmiras Habris of Yosef HaTzadik, because that was when the full revelation of the koach of Shmiras Habris. So the sea ran away. So Nosne Neyem, that they gave their eyes, Loimer Shira, they gave their eyes to say Shira, says Nosne Neyem, says Abin, Ze Pchinas Hodrasponim, Pchinas Zoken, Ze Konachochma. Because it is through the Hodrasponim that you acquire Chochmas HaTorah. As Rashi says, Vatipakachna Eine Shneim. Why do we say that they lifted their eyes? That says, you know what it is? That's Chochmah. So whoa! How did you make this connection? What does the eyes have to do with Chochmah? Nosne Nein, the Rebbe says Ze Hadrasponim, because that you get through the Chochmah when you polish the 13 midas Shatan Dreshet Bahem. This is when you get Hadrasponim, right? So this is Nosne Nein. That is Hadrasponim. Wait, there's something missing here. Right? How do you know that Einayim, is the union of, Chochmah that gives Hadrasponim to Nosne Einayim is Hadrasponim. So he says, as Rashi says, on the Pasuk in the Bereshis, that Vatipakachna Einay Shneim, Adam and Chava, when they ate from the fruit of Eitz Hadas, Toivera, it says Vatipakachna Einay Shneim, and their eyes of both of them were opened. Rashi says, what does it mean that their eyes opened? What, they were like kittens that they were before, for 5 days their eyes are closed and then they're open? No. Only what? Rashi says, Al Shema Chochma Ne'ema. Because they acquired a different kind of Chochma. It's like, I had, in English they say, I had the scales, removed from my eyes. I finally realized what was going on. I go into it, my eyes fully open, fully cognizant. So, opening the eyes, again it says, oh, now I see where this is going towards. So the eyes, of Sicha Einayim means that now I get it. Now I see where this was leading all along. Which in Psichas Einayim says now you acquire the wisdom to understand. It's a euphemism, to understanding, to getting it. So it says Nosne Einayim means they got Chochmah. And we said when you get Chochmah, you get Hadrasponim, right? When you polish your Chochmah, you get Hadrasponim. You polish your Chochmah, there is 13 midas Shatan Dreshes Behem. This is how you get Hadrasponim. So this is connected. So the Einayim are the euphemism for Chochmah. So, and that allowed them, Nosne Einayim, they had the Chochmah, Loimer Shira, to say Shira, to say a song, Ze Pchinas HaKol. We said this is the thing that purifies the call, right? Purifies the call. Shenizgala da Chochmah, that the voice is purified, to that quality of pure voice that brings about the Yeshua of HaKadosh Baruch Hu through getting the Chochmah, Zoichet to Hadrasponim, and that is Mizachach the Kol. The Kadosh Baruch Hu delivers you just by hearing your voice. Ze Pchinas Kol Shenizgala da Chochmah. That's the voice that is being discovered through the Chochmah. But Ze She'omru Oilelim v'yoinkin omru, babes and breastfeeding babies said, Ze keli v'anveyu. It says, this is my Lord, and I will glorify him. Because zeh, the word zeh, the word zois is the Shechina, is the Malchus. The word zeh, because that's the female, right? Zois. The word zeh denotes the bris. That's the male part. Zois is the female. Zeh is the male. So it says zeh is for zeh keli, means the zecher to zeh, pchinas bris, pchinas v'zeh lecha ois. This zeh is to you the ois bris. This is the zecher to bris, ve'anveil. The zecher to hados ponim, which is the beauty through the pchinas of bris. With this is zecher to hados ponim, and this is the oilim and the yonkim with zecher to say shira. And we will stop up to here, because this is extraordinarily condensed. It's almost like when you see a blackboard in the university in the math department. The whole board is filled with formulas. And unless you actually hold cup on every step of the way, it's very easy to lose a link. And once you lose a link in math, they say that children are some people are bad in math, but it's not true that they're bad in math. Some children, the mindset is hardwired to catch math. The other children are just normal children, and the science of math is basically one long link. One follows the other. Now, with ADD and the problems of concentration, especially if there are problems in the house, if there's argument between the father and the mother and whatever it is, or whatever. So there's a lot of noise in the head of the children. Yeah. So as a result, when they learn math, they're missing every once in a while. It's like listening to somebody and putting your fingers in your ears, and you open up your ears, and you put two fingers in your ears, and you open up your ears. And you're trying to figure out what the sentence is. In math, if you're missing a link, the whole thing crumbles down. You have to have the whole link. That's the only way to actually learn math, for somebody who has a problem with math, is repetition. Because with repetition, okay, so the first time you didn't get this link, the second time you get this link, you're missing this. You repeat it again, you get every single link. All right, now it makes sense. Now you can do the math, because math is really very, very simple. Math is actually very simple. It's just a matter of keeping on with the progression. That's why the Rebbe says that in science there's no real chokhmah. In Sichas Aran, the Rebbe says there's no real chokhmah in science. Science is only, is you follow step by step, so you get to a certain meifus. Every single science, there's no real chokhmah like you find in Ma'arav Shif or in a Tosfos, or that kind of chokhmah you do not find in science. Science is that one step leads to the other, You deduct this from that, you deduce this from that, and this from that, and this from that, and you keep on keeping on. Since you come to a meifus. But the real chokhmah there isn't there. There's no real chokhmah there. So we have to shorten this, and we have to take this with, in small portions, so we make sure that all the pieces are in place. And we have a binyan shalom, so by the time we finish the Torah, okay, then we got the whole thing. And then you say Likutei Tfilos, and it ties it a bit more, and then you take hopefully you take Likutei Halachos and you learn the Likutei Halachos is based on this Torah, you get it even more. And the principle gets, like a printed circuit, like branded in your mind. And your mind becomes a different mind, becomes the Rebbe's mind, which is the Tikkun. That's why he said, the Rebbe says, we're going to tzaddikim to zoiche to taras ha-machshava. Taras ha-machshava means, to purity of the machshava. It means that the patterns with which the brain goes, follows the printed circuit that you burnt into your mind. Instead of taking you to all kinds of fashidana places, it takes you to where it really is supposed to go, B'ezrat Hashem. So, Ad Kam for today.